Today's a very important day, September 11th. And I was at my mom's house this morning, and I remember when she called me up on September 11th, and she said, turn on the TV. What I saw was that airplane hitting the second tower. And I was just shocked. I was just shocked. I couldn't believe it, and it's funny because people say my whole life flashed in front of me. To me, that moment, what was going through my mind as I saw that was, if we're not safe here, where are we safe? See, we're Cuban refugees. We came here, my family came here in 1962. We've all made our lives here. And it never even dawned on me that I would ever have those kind of thoughts, or that nothing could happen here that would give me those kinds of thoughts that what happened? What happened if this place goes bad? This has been our refuge. This is where we've come for refuge, And, from the moment that I was 10 years old, that's all I know is America, America, America. But for a split second there, I kept thinking, man, if we're not safe here, where are we safe? And so, the eeriness, all of a sudden, all the planes are grounded, and it was just an incredible, surreal feeling. Even the following, within a couple of days, another airplane, the engine fell off, and we thought, oh my God, here's another one. So it was just, when's the next shoe gonna drop, And so as the days went on and nothing else happened, this fear turned to anger, started to turn to anger. How could they do that? They killed so many people. New York was just, it was just hell on earth. And I thought, I had a sister that lived in New York, and I thought, that shortly after the attacks, people donated millions, maybe billions of dollars, billions, to the Red Cross, to the United Way. And that money was donated, out of love and out of, to send the message to the people that were killed, the families that were devastated, that we feel your pain. I mean, there's nothing we can do right now other than give you financial help. And it became a big controversy. The Red Cross was hanging on to the money. United Way was hanging on to the money. It was on the news constantly about these people are taking the money, and I thought, wow, how difficult can it be? How difficult can it be to put money in the hands of one of these families? And I thought, well, maybe let's see, maybe we can do something. So I called a few friends, and I had a sister that lived in New York. And I said, her name was Margaret. I said, Margaret, I'm going to put on a golf tournament, and I'm going to raise some money, and then we're going to donate that money to a victim of the World Trade Center. And do me a favor, find a family in New York. Well, that was pretty naive, thinking that, that information was going to be available, that families were going to be available, that we were going to be able to do this. But I had no, the idea was, let's just do it and let's see what happens. And so, incredibly, we put on this golf tournament. We raised $10,000. we located a family, and Margaret couldn't come up with anybody. She was in New York. There's nobody was giving any information on any of the families. But my other sister, who lives here in L.A., came to me and she said, "Listen, I just got done having lunch with a co-worker who just got back from attending her cousin's husband's funeral that was killed in the tower, and he had 2 little boys. Would you consider giving her the money?" I said, "Absolutely, absolutely." So I called her. First, I asked my sister, "You call her," and she said, "No, you call her." So that was a tough phone call. And so I called her and I got her on the phone, and she was great. She was she made me feel so relaxed. And I just told her name was Cheryl, and her husband Michael McDonald was killed in one of the towers. And I remember the conversation. I asked her, "How are the kids doing?" And she said, I forgot what the boy's name. I think Ryan was one of them. He was playing in the sandbox, and there was another boy with an airplane, and he took the airplane and he took it away from the kid, and he said, "Listen, those planes killed my daddy," And so, but anyway, she was so gracious, and she made me feel so comfortable, because I was nervous. I was a nervous wreck of making that phone call, and we raised $10,000. We gave Cheryl $7,500, and then $2,500 to Windows of Hope. And that was a foundation set up by the owners of Windows of the World, which was a restaurant at the top of the World Trade Center, and it was to help the kitchen workers throughout the tower. These could have been undocumented, whatever. It was just the people that were not going to get any of that $1 billion, or millions of dollars. And so that was it. We figured, we did what we set out to do. We pulled it off. We wanted to see if it was possible. And then I get a letter shortly, a couple of weeks after that, December 12th. I get a beautiful letter from Cheryl with a picture of her and Michael and the 2 boys, and just a message to us, a thank you, and that we reinforce, basically, to paraphrase, that we reinforce her faith in humanity, that there were still good people in this world. And I thought, wow, if we could have that impact on this one family, by playing a little bit of golf, and what else is possible? What else is possible? So by that time, we had already opened up a web page to start documenting our story, because I wanted to document it to show people, if we actually pulled it off, that if we could do it, which are we have no resources and just a bunch of nobodies. Imagine what you could do with all your resources and all your monies and all your friends that have a lot of money, And so, we pulled it off, and so we decided, let's do it again. Let's see what else we can do. So we decided that we were going to do another golf tournament. We did it on September 10th, 2002. So before the 1-year anniversary, we had already done 2 golf tournaments. But the problem with the second golf tournament was that we didn't have anybody to give the money to. By September the following year, the people in New York had already received the money and plenty of financial help. So we're sitting now on $6,500. We don't know what to do with it. I don't want to keep it. And so we started to, figure out who we're going to give it to. So we gave $1,000 to a school, a class here in Hawthorne, and 4th grade class, and it told them to pick a beneficiary, and we would give them $1,000 on their behalf. And so they picked Save the Children. We wrote them a check, and then there was another one, a group of Girl Scouts, and we gave them $1,000, and we're sitting there with $4,500 when a friend gave me a flyer about a group of Navy SEALs that were looking for, trying to collect money for the widow, and I think it was for the widow of Roberts. Roberts was the last name. I think it was the first SEAL that was killed in Afghanistan. And this was a group of SEALs out there in Coronado. So we contacted them, and I gave them the $4,500. And they were ecstatic because they were, running around Coronado with an ammo can, collecting money from bars and this and that. These are professional soldiers, but they're not good professional fundraisers. So when they asked me, how'd you get the $4,500? I said, well, we put on a golf tournament. And they asked me, well, can you help us? And I said, well, the only thing I could do is put on golf tournaments. And obviously, I can't do it here in Coronado because I don't have any contacts here. If you want, I could do it in LA. And so we ended up doing 3 golf tournaments for a group that became United Warrior Survivor Foundation. And what they dealt primarily were the surviving spouses of our special operations or any other person that was killed in support of special operations. So for 3 to 4 years, I was on their board. I worked with them. I got a chance to meet a lot of the ladies and become, friends with a lot of these ladies whose husband had been killed in the mountains of Afghanistan. Because we were in Afghanistan immediately after 9/11, 2001, 2002. And that was, we called ourselves 9/11 Help America. That was my idea was that I was going to, as a refugee from a communist country, we have an obligation to pay back something to this country for sheltering us, taking care of us, keeping us safe. And it's our military that does that. And so I had the idea that I was going to go to the Vietnamese community, that I was going to go to the Korean community, all of us that have ran from communism, and we were going to get together. We're going to do all. Well, that never really happened. So but what happened was that we'd already had a little bit of a group. We've already done several golf tournaments. We were already making friends with military. SEALs. I mean, from not having any contact with the military to all of a sudden be with the most elite warriors that we have. I got to tell you, I was really, I was starstruck by these guys. I mean, these guys were world-class athletes, and they were just bad dudes, They were just the top of the spear and it was a real pleasure to be a part of them, and it was a real privilege, and a lot of my friends felt the same way. So but over time we started to think, when the war in Iraq began, if a widow or a surviving spouse approach this foundation, and if they were not special operations or in support of special operations, their charter was strictly this, and so they would not be able to help this particular person. And I thought, well, there's a need here that maybe we can do, and so we incorporated. We took the name 9/11 Help America Foundation. We applied for, and we got our 501, and that was 2004. And I remember our very first spouse, Teresa Morgan. Her husband was a crew chief on a helicopter, and he was killed in Afghanistan in 2002. And so when she was introduced to us, I called her up and I said, "Hi, Teresa, I'm Mike. I represent 9/11 Help America. Well, we can help you. We're not very big. We don't have much money, but we can give you $250 a month, maybe for 6 months. Would that help?" And she said, "Absolutely. I'm driving 40 miles to go to school," and so she became our first beneficiary, other than Cheryl McDonald from New York. And so, word travels, and a few months later we get another spouse and another spouse, and pretty soon we got 10, 12, 15, and we're sending them money because I don't know what else to do. I'm not a social worker. I don't know. Frankly, I didn't know what to do other than to send them a couple $100 a month, and they really appreciated that. And so we thought, well, what else can we do? And they said, well, who's going to send flowers for Mother's Day? And I said, well, we can do that, So, and many of the widows that we had, they lived outside of this area. So we had some in New York, up north, and we started sending flowers. And then I thought, well, what about the kids? So we started to send the kids gifts for Christmas. So that became our program. Our program was a little bit of financial help, flowers to let them know that they're not forgotten, and something for the kids. And that's how we got started, And as time passed, to realize that was the right way to do it. Because if you give them one lump sum of, let's say, $1,000 or $1,200, you're not going to see them again, most likely. But when you do it a couple $100, at a time, you get a chance to build a relationship with them and gain their trust. Because the hardest thing for a lot of people, and particularly people in the military, is to trust you. They've been lied to every now and then by the government and people, so they're a little leery about, somebody bringing in money or giving them money and flowers and this and that. But over time, we really started to build a friendship with a lot of these ladies. And so that was basically it. How you're not going to screw up sending money in. You're not going to screw up sending flowers, and the kids are going to love you because of the toys. And so, but in 2006, I got a phone call about if I could reach out to a soldier in the 562 area code. He was blind. And so I called him. His name was Sergeant Major Jesse Acosta. And so I reached out to him. We started to help financially. And he invited me, a couple months later, he invited me to a Purple Heart ceremony where he was getting his Purple Heart at the Long Beach VA. And if I would come, and I said, absolutely. So I went. And at that ceremony, it wasn't just, I met him for the first time. And we'd talk on the phone, but I hadn't met him. But for the first time we met, and he was getting his medal, Purple Heart, but also there was 4 other guys there that were getting their Purple Heart. And it was Alroy Billiman, Felipe Adams, Rudy Saavedra, Anthony Bentley, and that was the beginning of us making contact with the combat wounded. And they were so injured. The injuries were so devastating. I had never seen that. Jesse was blind. He lost his vision with shrapnel from a mortar or bomb. And Felipe was shot by a sniper. Rudy was shot by a sniper. Elroy was blown up by a bomb and lost his arm. Anthony Bentley had a Humvee roll over on him, and and they became the first 5 people that we started to work with, and they themselves started to bring in friends into the group. So little by little, our group started to grow. We went from 5, we went to 10, 20, and we made friends with some of the caseworkers at the Long Beach VA, and they would refer people to us. And as time passed, we got a little better at helping. We started to realize how important fellowship was, so we started to do a lot of events to bring people together and educate the public about the work that we were doing. So it was, nobody was prepared for this. It was learn as you go. And as you went, they themselves taught us, or taught me anyway, because I'm the guy calling the shots, how to handle things and what they need. And they needed a lot.